So I'm sure it all feels like kind of normal now, but what were you thinking when you found yourself in a flamingo suit 3 days into a new job?
Well, I was really excited because I left a job I wasn't so excited about, stuck in an office 9 to 5. And before I even got my offer letter, I had an email from Carrie she asked me, what size flamingo suit are you?
Sure.
No context, just that line.
Just a quick question.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, so this means I get the job, right? And also, what is a flamingo suit?
Are we talking about like just pink clothes or like actual
no,
wings?
yeah. So I Googled it and there was a lot of different things that came up. Yeah.
Welcome to the Culture Gooder podcast with Stephen Leese and Shaun. This podcast is a behind the shades look at creating and changing culture inside of Goodr sunglasses. You can live with the status quo, you can challenge the status quo, or you can do what we do at Goodr and status the quo challenge.
All right, welcome to another special episode of the Culture Gooder podcast. Today we have Hanssie joining us. Welcome, Hanssie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Hansie's in charge of bringing the Goodr experience to the world. So we're going to share that with you here today. But before we get into the meat of it, let's do a little lightning round, huh?
All right.
All right. How long have you been at Goodr, Hanssie?
It'll be 6 years this November.
6 years.
Yeah, I was employee number 7.
Yeah. Wow. 007. I love that. What was your first role here?
I mean, in a company that size, it was roles.
Right.
So,
multiple hats they handed to you. Yeah.
My original title was grassroots marketing manager, but I also did retail customer support, was the blogger, translator, proofreader, did a lot of little things.
Wow. So how have things shifted since you first started and we're doing all of those things?
Well, now I am the flock leader for the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we are a team that brings the fun and events internally and externally. Goodr.
Love it. Is that the first team that you have led, or have there been others?
No, my first team was the community managers. We actually called them brand managers and had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
So that was great. Then I led a team of project managers. Slightly knew a little bit more.
Still word managers is in there. So that's, yeah.
And now here we are.
And now Guardians is in charge of
the Goodr experience. We do internal events. We have external events, some fun and exciting things coming up.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about some of those things. So you've done so much to create amazing experiences for us, both internally and externally, as you've said. Offsites, retreats, of course, Goodr Stock. Have you always loved running events, or did you just sort of fall into it?
I actually kind of fell into it. I started my career in education. Really hated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not my thing. And realized I didn't like to be locked into an office at a 9 to 5. And so there were opportunities for me to travel to go to trade shows and set up booths and things like that. And so I realized that I really love that freedom and the fun and the flexibility aspect of all that.
Nice. So you at first were like, get me out of here. And then whatever opportunity there was to do that was usually an event. And you're like, okay, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. And then I've always been very, we'll just say I'm really good at organizing things and bossing people around.
Sure. Well, you managed a team of project managers, so you must be pretty good at this.
It started young.
Right. Okay, so can you talk us through some of the events that you've thrown for Goodr, internal, external, whatever comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, well, my first week at Goodr, I was at a trade show. So my third day at Goodr, I was running a whiskey mile in Austin.
Immediately.
I was wearing a flamingo suit, literal polyester suit with flamingos.
Breathable, I'm sure.
It was very comfortable, pencil skirt, all of that. Yeah. I started getting involved with more events in the planning side with our Rosé Mile, lots of trade shows, and then inherited Goodr Stock. So we've done summer camp, a booze cruise, gala, prom, lots of different events.
So many.
Yeah, super fun.
So I'm sure it all feels like kind of normal now, but what were you thinking when you found yourself in a flamingo suit 3 days into a new job?
Well, I was really excited because I left a job I wasn't so excited about, stuck in an office 9 to 5. And before I even got my offer letter, I had an email from Carrie she asked me, what size flamingo suit are you?
Sure.
No context, just that line.
Just a quick question.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, so this means I get the job, right? And also, what is a flamingo suit?
Are we talking about like just pink clothes or like actual wings?
Yeah. So I Googled it and there was a lot of different things that came up. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sure that you found some things that you like and don't like about events along the way. If you were to say like top 3 big things that you want to include in a goodr event, what would those be?
Well, I definitely always want to inspire awe, optimize connection points, and always want to outdo the last time. So challenges me and the team to be very creative on how to just make it better.
They're just constantly building pressure each time.
Right.
It's more difficult than the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I mean,
no big deal.
It's fine. Sure. It's fine. It's going to be fine. So what would you say if there are a signature element to a goodr event, or maybe elements, what would those be?
Well, clearly the flamingo suits.
Yep. Standard.
Yeah. Standard basic, outfits, always absurd. There for sure needs to be flamingos and a lot of pink. And pink is my favorite color, so that isn't a hardship at all.
That works.
And something remarkable. Shit.
It's a tough word.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry. English is my second language.
Well,
so
you're doing great.
Yeah.
So I think when we were pretty close to the world record for lawn flamingos or something.
Yeah, I think there was about 4,000 at our last golf tournament, the Flamingo Open.
Yeah.
So we just missed the record, I think.
We just didn't know what the record was.
Right.
Or
if it was a thing.
Right.
But great.
Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah.
Maybe sometime in the future we can go after that, huh?
I mean, I hope so.
Awesome. All right. So probably not everyone listening is like planning lots of events. What's something that people who don't plan events wouldn't know or wouldn't expect about what it takes to throw something fun?
Well, the goal is that people don't realize that there's been a dozen things that went wrong on the journey. And so, there's been a few things where it's been challenging and no one is the wiser. And that is a big win. So
what's the secret there? So things are going to go wrong.
Right.
When they do, does anyone notice? Hopefully not. Have you found any tricks to keeping it from being obvious?
I mean, drink a lot.
Drinking? Okay.
Cussing. Really planning for like not being surprised that is going to happen just kind of rolling with the punches. I mean, one time we had a booth not show up to a trade show.
Just no booth.
No booth. So the
What'd
team,
you do?
The team sat there for all day. And then at around 4:00, they realized our booth isn't going to show up. So I wasn't on site of that event. I think it was in New Jersey maybe, and I was in New York to run the marathon the following day.
All right.
So they called me and, we figured it out. It was quite a few runs to Home Depot and IKEA and Target
Target's got to be in there for sure, right?
Of course.
Okay. So what makes an event a success? How do you know that it worked and was everything you hoped it to be?
I mean, I kind of personally measure events in happiness. So people just being happy and excited that the event has happened. They're enjoying the event. And also I love just afterwards hearing stories and like, oh, remember that time at Goodr and everyone's laughing and just recalling this awesome experience or moment.
Yeah. So it is more, I mean, you have to do so much behind the scenes to create the potential for that experience to exist. But then once you get to hear about what that was, that's like the most fulfilling thing about running the event.
For sure.
Yeah. Makes sense. Can you share some key learnings that you've had just throughout the years running these things?
I mean, obviously you always need to have a plan A, B, C, and D. You're pretty much on call 24/7 leading up to the event.
Yeah.
You'll never be bored.
No boredom. So be ready for those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are just a few off the top of my head.
Yeah. Any little logistical tips or like something on your checklist that you always make sure is checked off or some part of the process that's really helpful?
I mean, always have a checklist.
Yeah, check
that. Is very handy. Shot o'clock.
Okay. Shot o'clock. What's that?
Well, at 3:45, there is a song that gets played when we're at a trade show or an event.
Sure.
And that is the signal to take a shot.
I'm guessing the song is Shots.
Correct.
Right. Cool. So what are we at here? 3:33.
Well, we're close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
We'll see if we have time. Maybe when we're wrapped up here, we'll get a little shot in.
I sure hope so.
Cool. All right. So let's talk about some of the events we've invited the general public to. What are they? When were they? Are there any coming up?
Oh, yeah. We have had a few. We have invited people to Catalina for a little tropical mixer and a pina colada mile, which looked absolutely disgusting.
Yes, it was.
Great.
Not good.
I think there's been like a donut mile and a lot of very gluttonous alcoholic miles in that.
A lot of miles are being run and things are consumed in the
right.
It's like every quarter mile you got to eat or drink something.
Yes.
And then just proceed as normal.
Right. And I quickly learned the secret that if I was planning it, I can't actually participate in it. So I only did that whiskey mile my third day at work. And
so that's why you're planning all these events.
Correct.
And then you don't
that's
have to
actually how I fell into events here.
Right. Yeah. I did the Catalina mile. It was Mai Tais.
Mai Tais. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mile was fun. The Mai Tais were not so fun.
Yeah, that they didn't look fun. We've done a couple golf tournaments, the Flamingo Open. So yeah, coming up, we have very exciting. We actually are publishing our own culture book end of this year. And so following that, we will be hosting our culture conference.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be very exciting.
Yeah, totally. Maybe we'll get into that a little more. Before we do, any favorites from the things that we have already done? Like something really sticks with you?
I mean, it's really hard to pick just one. They're all really fun. But my second trade show with goodr was in Vegas. So that's already a win.
Yep.
That is actually when Shot O'Clock was invented.
Invented in Vegas.
That seems right. And that is also where I got my title, Mother of Dragons.
Mother of Dragons. Because you're going to burn it down if people don't listen?
Well, it kind of has to do with the show Thunder from Down Under, but that's a story for a different podcast.
Yeah, probably for sure. We're explicit here, but probably not that explicit.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. All right. What has the reception been like generally for the events that you've thrown for goodr that the general public is invited to?
Well, I think maybe the crowning glory to my events so far has been being titled The Beacons of Fun at a trade show. And so, people are just in awe when they see our booth or they see our event, because that's hopefully what we are, beacons of fun.
Yeah.
We are different from the traditional trade show polo shirts and khaki pants. Our events are mostly open bar. We have talking flamingos. We have live flamingos. And just pretty much just excitement and yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Really want to set ourselves apart by leaning into our values of fun and authenticity. It sounds like we're doing that.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are almost shocked that we're able to do that. And I do get a few comments like, your boss lets you wear those?
Right.
I'm like, he actually was the one that asked me to wear this first.
Right.
So.
He insists that we wear, and he's wearing it too. Look, he's right over there.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's something you dream about bringing to a goodr event that you haven't yet?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. You hear that, Taylor?
Yes, please Taylor. Be my best friend.
Oh, yeah. All right. So what's your advice for someone attending one of our events?
Really just embrace the fun, the silliness. I mean, life's too short to wear khakis and, stand in the corner while everyone's out dancing. And, make sure you wear some goodr sunglasses no matter what time of day it is, because it's always very valuable. And there's probably going to be a lot of alcohol, so don't be an asshole. Agreed.
So what's some advice you can give for someone who's running events, plans to run events? How can they do it well, level it up?
I hear a lot at trade shows and stuff like, oh, I wish we could wear outfits or costumes. And I always respond with, well, why can't you? I'll show you the website. You can buy flamingo suits, but they have different suits. I don't need to give you permission to be different and have fun. There's no rule book. I mean, the job that allowed me to plan my first trade show or event, they weren't super fun, but I insisted on, having custom outfits in the booth. I encouraged them to let me pick my title. It was Queen of Everything.
Nice.
So,
picking up on a theme here, title-wise.
Exactly. But really, just be authentic, have fun, and don't be afraid to have fun and do it differently.
Yeah, awesome. If you could give the past version of yourself who signed up and walked straight into a trade show some advice, what would that be?
Get help early and often. In the beginning, I did everything by myself. One event, I made 1,000 paper cranes.
1,000 paper cranes.
Origami paper cranes.
Yourself,
yes.
You made.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, I've set up trade show booths alone. It's, get help.
Yeah, get help early and often. Okay. Was that something, did it just feel like that was difficult to do because you're like, I got this, and then you get into it and be like, I could use some support? Or
at the beginning, it's more budget. Your budget's small. And so, and then with the small budget, it's like, well, I don't need to pay for help. I can just do it myself. Like, I'll fold some paper cranes and run the TV. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Feels like, as we've grown, we've had a range of different budgets available, right? But maybe there's ways to make things super fun and authentic without always just spending a ton of money, right? Have you found some ways to maximize things along the way?
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, my first event at goodr was my first week here, and we, took Southwest flights because we each got free baggage check.
Sure.
And so we packed inflatables and things like that in in golf bags.
Yeah.
And did it all ourselves.
Efficient.
So yeah, that really relying on friends. I had bartender friends that could come and bartend for us, and I'd give them sunglasses.
Nice. A little trade deal.
Yeah, folding paper cranes yourself.
Sure.
I mean, binge watch something on Netflix and
use your
fold
skills.
1,000 paper cranes. There you go.
I love it. Cool. All right. So, random closing question.
Okay.
What does culture mean to you in the workplace?
Trust falls.
Trust falls, yeah, right? Like we would ever do that.
Yeah.
Unless it was into like a lake full of flamingos or something.
Probably, yeah. Well, culture is a way of life. It is a belief system that is shared among a group of people. And so whether a company spends a lot of time on their culture or not, it's still there.
Right. Yeah. Or boring is the culture if you're in a certain place with the khakis and such, but it doesn't have to be like
for
that,
sure.
Right?
And a lot of companies that I've worked for think that culture means, getting a PlayStation installed in the office that no one actually touches and then goes to happy hour every couple months.
Sure. Hawaiian t-shirt Fridays, things like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, Shaun, what time is it?
It's 3:45. Why?
It's shot o'clock.
What? Let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Whoa. So, why did we just do a shot at 3:45?
So, shot o'clock originated at a trade show. It was the second month I worked at goodr, and it actually was born out of necessity. Because so at a trade show, if everyone has ever worked a trade show, they're very long days. And this particular trade show was in Vegas. So, of course, I was hungover. Naturally. I think it was day 2 or 3 of this show. And it was about 3:30-ish, and we're dragging. And there's still 2 hours plus before we are done for the day. And so kind of looked around and I'm like, hey, you guys, does anyone want to do a shot with me? And they're like, oh, yes. Everyone just perked up. Yes. And I'm like, well, great. It's shot o'clock. Let's get things going. And so looked down and it was 3:45. So I'm like, wait, we need some mood music. So we played a song.
What's the song?
Shots, Little John.
That makes perfect sense.
Right. And so we just invited people around us, whoever was walking by, our booth neighbors, and we all took a shot at 3:45. And so from therein on at 3:45 at an event or any day of the week, when we feel like we need a shot at 3:45, we will play that song, and it is like a siren's call. People will stop whatever they're doing in the office and come to the tiki bar to have a shot.
I've heard that, and I've also been surprised that there are like third and fourth verses to that song.
Well, sometimes it takes people a while to make it over there.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you got to give them time.
Absolutely. But really, like, Shot O'Clock was created because, we were just being authentically ourselves. And we have a mantra here that, if the goal is being authentic, people don't like you, it's okay. But if the goal is being liked, people don't like you, then you're fucked.
Right.
And so that is just something, we do at every trade show at 3:45, and people know about it. It wasn't because we wanted attention or anything. It was just something that was born out of something fun. And so people look forward to it. We've met up with many different companies, and there's some companies that remember us, and they will come every day at 3:45 just for that connection point.
They're trained for it.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, what's
is it Shot O'Clock? Yeah, no meetings at 3:45, and they'll bring people too. And so it's just a fun little thing that we do to create connection and level up externally. I'd mentioned before that you don't have to do something extravagant like hire live flamingos to come to your event.
Right.
Or wear silly suits, but it just has to be authentic. Like, one of the most impactful things we've ever done in a booth came from a $10 sign we put up. And it was, this booth was so janky. It was like duct tape, some stuff from Michael, some particle board, lawn flamingos, turf. And, it was kind of held together with a wing and a prayer. And it was like, all right, we don't want people to actually touch it because the entire thing could collapse.
Right, sure.
So we just bought a $10 sign online and put "Don't fuck with the flamingos" in their oasis. And that sign, we had people take pictures of it. We had people, so many people came to the booth and commented on it, and it cost us $10.
Yeah.
It was just remarkable.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Two things there. Like, one, you created this fun event to gather around and connect around out of just like boredom and like, I don't know if I can make it another 2 hours without a shot. Let's do shots. Shot O'Clock it is. Right. And then, how early on are like, these are the salad days of goodr, I assume. Right. Like, you're just taping together a booth and like, okay, we need people not to fuck with these flamingos.
Right.
Oh, perfect. There's a sign.
Yeah.
Ship it.
Yeah.
And then that ends up creating points of connection as well.
Right. I mean, just using one 4-letter word, and there were a handful of people that were offended, but for the most part, like, people thought it was funny because this is us. We're authentically being us. And and same with Shot O'Clock. Like, there are people that don't like it or don't want to do it, and that's totally fine. They can opt out. We're not forcing them to take shots at 3:45.
Yeah. But as long as we're being authentically ourselves, winning.
Exactly.
Yes. Cool. Well, why are we wearing these weird suits?
Well,
right now?
These suits probably have seen many a day of trade show sweat and tears and blood, probably. But these are some of the outfits that we do wear at trade shows, and it is definitely a beacon of fun.
For sure. Definitely not the typical, like, whatever people are wearing, like polos.
Khakis,
and
polos,
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, you can't not have fun. You can't take yourself too seriously when you're wearing a tropical suit with shorts and a polyester business suit in a flamingo pattern.
That's like flamingo casual.
Right. Well, it's not that casual.
It's not quite I guess it's more of a dressed up. If a flamingo were to be fancy, like cocktail hour
like
ready.
a salesperson.
Yeah. Sales flamingo.
I think the male version of this comes with a tie. So you could be very formal.
Nice.
It's a very flamingo corporate.
Just, there you go. Yeah. That's us here, essentially.
Right.
If they ever incorporated. Cool. Well, so those are some fun, kind of low lift, very affordable ways to create connection externally. You've also led the charge on some cool internal connection events that we've struggled to scale, we should say. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So for every goodr stock, we have a connection event called speed dating.
Mm-hmm.
So speed dating started when we were a company of 12. And so each of us had a slide and a slide deck, and we just shared our wins and our challenges and just something fun and our goals for the quarter. And it was just a moment in time where everyone in the company, all 13 of us, could get up on stage and have a moment per quarter. We would have everybody would pick their own walkout song, and it would be kind of, hyped up and everything. And it was super fun until we started growing to like 20 and then 30 and then 50. And then at one point, speed dating was over 2 hours. And so it started to get a little bit long. And even putting shot o'clock and breaks in there, it started getting very redundant.
Shot o'clock couldn't save it, huh?
Yeah. And we had people, the original premise was called speed dating because it was people were coming up for a minute or 2 minutes and sharing. And then we cut it down to a minute, and then it was 45 seconds. And it just, ultimately we realized we needed to figure out a way to scale it. And so there was an awesome team, Barrett, who's been on the show, Hannah. We all kind of got together and brainstormed ways that we could make it fun, but still have everyone get their moment in the spotlight. And so we created a game show. It started out as Guess Who Works Here? So it was kind of a trivia thing. It's morphed into a Family Feud competition style type of event. And now it's everybody's favorite connection activity at Goodr, and everyone gets their moment in the spotlight, but it's also some friendly competition. And we get to know each other a little bit better each time.
Nice. So it took something that was like, it worked in one format, but then once we had too many people in it, it's taken way too long. It's dragging. Shot o'clock can't save it. So you're like, all right, well, we still want to give people their kind of like moment in the sun, let them do their walkout song, but we don't need like a whole minute of content from every single person.
Right.
So you shifted it. The first time it was kind of like you actually did like a speed dating type thing, right? Like guess who works here type thing. And then now it's like, okay, we're playing a game where half the room's on a team, the other half the room's on a team, and we're kind of moving through it quickly, but everybody's still having fun and engaged, and they get their moment in the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. And Barrett, who is our host, I mean, he's great off the cuff. And, there was challenges, shotgun a beer. You can do that the fastest. And that is, it creates moments that we can't script. And it's just, if you would ask anybody in this company, what is one of their top 5 moments working here, it would be, the shotgun competition between Curtis and Barrett during speed dating.
Which was like the probably in competition for the world record fastest time I think I've ever seen. 3 seconds.
My jaw is still on the ground. Just Barrett thought, because he was trying to get points for his own team selfishly. And so he's like, I can shotgun a beer really quickly. So he's just going to challenge somebody in the company to shotgun a beer. Well, he, did the call out, and Curtis, our legal counsel, just hopped up on stage and said, I'm in. And
if someone jumps up like that, you're in trouble.
It was fast. I was like, well, this should be interesting. And so, he shotgunned a beer in 3 seconds. It was incredible.
See, these are the ways that we find out things about each other that we never would have known otherwise, right?
Exactly. Important things.
Yeah, totally. Well, important things to connect on for sure. Cool. Well, anything else you want to cover before we jump out of these itchy polyester suits?
Oh, I mean, I love these suits, but no, I mean, really just don't be afraid to be different, and don't be afraid to kind of run with some of these natural, organic moments that happen during events.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't all have to be expensive, right? It just can be inspired.
But hey, if you have the budget, go hire those live flamingos. That was super fun.
Yeah, right? That's also good too.
It was very fun to explain that to finance, what that invoice was for. But
I'm sure. You're like, you guys need a shot? Or
it's
we
fine.
good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just sign that. Don't ask questions. It's good for connection.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining me for this shot o'clock. Happy to have you here, Hanssie.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Culture Goodr podcast. To submit questions for the podcast, learn more about our culture, and learn how you can status the quote challenge, head over to goodr.com/culture. And don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you're listening, including on YouTube, where you can now watch all of our new episodes. Who knows? You might even catch a glimpse of Carl at our headquarters if he's not already passed out at the tiki bar from all the margaritas.